Hi everybody, and welcome to What's New TV's first podcast. I'm your host Teddy Calderon, and today we are going to be talking about the topic of time management. How does it affect you, and why does it affect you? So we got a fair amount of responses on our newsfeed that we will get into very shortly. So we just want to take the time right now to reflect on why time is important. So time is important in many ways, but managing time is even more important because time is constant. And sometimes people are not cognizant of time in regards to what they're doing. You know, people say time has gone so quickly, it's slipped through the door. But has it really slipped through the door because you were not or are not aware of what is going on around you because you're so engrossed in your daily activities? So is this one of the reasons why so many people lose track of time? Or is it that they're underpaid and overworked and so many obligations in their lives, it is hard to really focus on what you want to achieve? So let's take a listen to some of the comments off of my newsfeed. Okay, so first message is from Stockton. Stockton is a videographer and film producer. He says, message me at the wrong time. I'm heading to Guyana right now. Talk to you later. Fantastic. Okay, this message is from Octave. He is a singer/songwriter. And he says, sacrifice is what a lot of people lack. They need to devote more time to build their own because they spend a lot of time building other people's business. Okay, so Christopher Codrington, who is a young filmmaker, is saying a lack of encouragement, lack of opportunities, and other factors, have caused him to feel like time is not relevant because he can see things are not going to really change anytime soon. But that's an interesting comment. Yes, and we'll get into that a bit later in terms of opportunities and how to go about getting some of those or accessing some of those opportunities. We have comments from Kwame. Now, Kwame is a young film producer and commentator. And he says, creatives with full-time jobs may see lack of time is a major factor. And yes, I do believe it is a major factor, and that's where time management would come into play. Okay, next we have Afloria. Now, Afloria is a singer, songwriter, and she says having a full-time job does take a lot of her time, and even trying to get time off to perform at gigs, and that may be of benefit to helping her develop her career, has been a no-no for her and her job, and it is something that she is not in control of, and because the bills have to be paid, she's stuck at the moment, but she is looking for opportunities to make that change. So understanding that sometimes you may be working for someone and you can't just run off and do your own thing, but maybe finding a way to make back up for that time in your workplace sometimes may be a possibility if the boss is not too grumpy and can see that happening. Who knows? So we have another comment from Pablo Escobar. Now, Pablo Escobar is a music producer, singer, and songwriter. So he's saying maybe he should get someone to provide some of these services that he can't do because he has limited time. He also works full time, and he says it's very hard to achieve all these things, and I want people to understand no man is an island. You do need a team to get some things done. So let's hear what someone else has to say. Okay, so this comment is from Marvin the Mole Roberts. He's a singer and songwriter, and he says, I would say yes, when you're busy trying to survive, it can be difficult trying to do anything else outside of when you are working a full-time job. Yeah, Yeah, it's true. Yeah, some people need to manage their time, but it's hard to do that, when you have other responsibilities and obligations. So we're going to take this next comment from Ishmael. Ishmael is an actor, and Ishmael says he doesn't think that time's the issue, is that people are looking for handouts and they don't want to put in the effort. They want the easy way out. But also that the government needs to do more in terms of helping creative people access grant funding and other areas of funding to help develop their projects, making it a bit easier for them. So it's like a contradictory, but I do understand where he's coming from, because there is lack of access to how you access grant funding or even help. Sometimes that help can just be simple things like legal advice to, help make your project more viable, and even simple things. It's hard for some creative people in Barbados to access due to the fact that you don't know who, and if you do find out who, they're very busy, always in meetings, never take calls. Well, sometimes they do take calls. And I can speak about some of these things from my personal experience working with some of these agencies and departments. But I do understand that they are understaffed, and sometimes it can play a burden on some of these people in these positions, but more needs to be done, because we can see with the current data that they have, which I'm supposed to get, you can see the creative industries is not benefiting. It's not creating a sustainable environment for all sorts, and people are trying, but time is the issue, because sometimes you can't get to, as we heard, you can't get to certain things because you may be working. You may not have that inspiration to, because you feel it will go nowhere. And then the lack of economic inclusion into other things also. There's no legislation that helps protect you as a creative. Ideas and selling of ideas. So there's lots of issues that I want to get into, but we'll just stick on time and time management. I think my personal opinion is Barbadians have a time issue, and you can see that in our culture, where it's always said we're a bit laid back, 5 minutes late, that's all right. And sometimes we may not seem to be taking things as serious as we should, but I do think we are taking it serious. It's just that as creative people, we have so many things on our plate, and I'm just speaking about creative people, because I know other people do have other important things on their plate as well. But it is an uphill task, because again, of the lack of economic inclusion into things, and you have your obligations to meet. It's a big challenge, so it creates a bigger blanket. Maybe some goals need to be set, and to help creative people achieve them. I don't think there is enough data collected on creative people in Barbados to help make more informative decisions that can really help in a strategic way, and get us moving forward, because we have a voice and we have somewhere where we can display our voice without being discriminated upon or, cut off because you can't say this or that, and really put it out there, get the word out and get people to understand that the creative community is a multi-billion-dollar industry, making billions of dollars each year, and in the Caribbean maybe smaller, where it's 40 million people. It still is a lot of people, but it is still a market, and we can capitalize on that if we are given the opportunities to, and more focused assistance along with legislation that helps protect creative works and what they do. So I want to thank you for listening. Please feel free to leave your comments below or message me if you like. My number is 251-7406. And I will take your comments. And for our next podcast, I'll create another question following up on this podcast. And hopefully we can really have this dialogue going and we can get this out to the ministers. The Minister of Culture most definitely would like to hear, so I'll shoot that at him. And I'm pretty sure the Prime Minister has a lot on her plate, but she would take a listen. She wants to hear from the young people, and she wants to help make the standard of living better, and so that we can all grow as a nation. So once again, thank you for listening. Okay, I'm sorry we ran out of time, but I will talk a little bit about those organizations that can help in developing your project, accessing those grants, what does it entail, how to do it. So apologies for that. But stay tuned for the next podcast, and we will definitely get into that. So I want to hear from you guys. Thanks a lot. So stay tuned for another What's New TV podcast next week, where we will cover grant funding, some of the agencies, and how to get it done. So until then, see ya.